All right. Shout out to anybody who's coming in. Um, guess this is going to be a little bit more serious. I'm gonna just speak, as you can tell by the title. You know what happens if he asks for the kids. I was doing a podcast about fathers not too long ago, and I forgot who it was. They were serious, kind of. I think they were playing, but they're trolling at the same time. But almost it was like, why don't y'all just get the kids? And I have been thinking about that. And because this happens so often, I've been wanting to reply and say, okay, well, what happens if he asks for the kids? And I would say the first and foremost thing, what's going on, Patrick? The first and foremost is um, I'm not too sure that most fathers just outright ask for the kids. Just out of, you know, y'all got to be at a good space. You get what I'm saying? That's what I think. My day is good, right, fam? So, so I think the first things first is, you know, I don't think a lot of these contentious co-parenting situations put you in a position where, you know, man, that's all good, fam. But they put people in a situation where you have this issue, and the issue is, can you talk? So, and the thing about that is, if you're not afraid to shoot your shot to a woman, and you already shot your shot at the woman you had a kid, a child with, or children, you shouldn't be afraid to shoot your shot and say, "Look, it's time for that kid to be with me." Um, Now, honestly, do I think I think most of the guys who have asked have gotten shot down. I think, ironically, it's easier for the kid to say, you know, I want to be with my dad than it is the dad to say, I want my kid to be with me. That's just um, how I've seen it in my lifetime. When the kids say I want to live with my dad, then it's like okay. But when the dad say it, then it's not like Um, I would say it's 10% of the time. If the dad said it's a go, and it's about 80% of the time if it's the child, because they're gonna make up, they're gonna make it real, they're gonna get real vocal and ride for what they want. So I think first and foremost, you know, you gotta ask for your kid. It's and sometimes people look at it like, okay, if you already went to court and you fought for the kid, you probably asked for the kid before you went to court. You probably asked for the kid, after that. I ain't gonna say after that, but if you once you lost, you was like, well, I mean, I'm gonna ask for the kid, and it's just gonna work out. And because somebody's willing to fight so hard, and for you guys out there who have never been in that situation, they're gonna play. There are people who will definitely play dirty, right? So it is what it is. What up, Rita? But before you do anything, um, I would say have the ability to ask. You know, you can only get yes or no. Now, another thing about this is because when people, well, if y'all want the kids, y'all need to be there. Even even when the guys might vocalize, look, I want my kids. He might not ask the mother, but he might just say, look, I want my kids. Um, I've seen those scenarios too, where now somebody wants you to go through um, a battery of tests. You know, Now, and I think it's insulting because what I've seen is I've seen mothers be in that position. What's up, imperfection? And they make a plethora of mistakes. But in order for the father to even be in the conversation to take over parenting, now they gotta fit a certain amount of standards in the mother's mind, which usually is just some made up, you know, shenanigans. Jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop type of stuff. And even if and it comes across, even if he does it, it ain't gonna be good enough. It's always looking for a reason to say no. You get what I'm saying? Always looking for a reason to say no. And I think about that because we talk about the black family, and we live under this assumption where the guys just walked off or didn't want to be around or whatever. But I don't think people have asked explicitly. I would say 50% of people ask, "Look, I want my kid," and 50% of people was like, "Listen." They made remarks like, "Look, they need to be with me." It's not going to work if they with you. They need to be with me. So that's not really asking. That's just kind of implying. So, and I wouldn't say I say 40% and 40% because it's a percentage of guys who don't want to be with their kids. Not on a day-to-day basis. You know, but I would say majority, the vast majority does. What's up, Melvin? What's up, Dizzy? You know, he's got to be Superman with Batman money. Yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta be something. And so what winds up happening is, you know, you see these guys who are just like, okay, you want people to clean up the community. Why not? Because people talk about all of the guys who happen to be in jail or incarcerated, but you don't talk about the majority of black men who are not in jail or incarcerated, who are doing well enough to take care of their kid on their own. For the vast majority of the guys who are quote unquote paying child support, and I got to bring this up again, black men are the most consistent at doing it. For the guys who do that, what winds up happening is what you're saying in essence. When those guys say, "Okay, my kid needs to be with me," people make it a money issue. You know, and I even said, I even wrote it in my book. So for some guys, you just, in that position, if you want your kid, you have to ask for your kid or get your kid, but then also agree to keep paying child support. Because for some of these people, it's never been about the kid, it's been about the cash. Even though which says a lot about you as a human being, because it means you wasn't taking care of the kid no way. But I think more people will agree to that than y'all care to admit to. But what happens if he asks? Like, because when we talk about the community and the family and these kids bad, and what about Chicago? And the reason why, one of the reasons I'm talking about this today, I talked about this years ago. I had an ex-girlfriend. She's good people. But she's a lawyer, and we used to have these conversations, and she was kind of, she was kind of naive to human nature because she saw the best in people, and that was a good thing. She, that made her a sweet woman. What's up, Tony? What's up, Reggie? But to understand how certain type of human beings would act. What's up, Charles? Woo! How you feeling, man? Yeah, I need to go do some push-ups now that you're here. But I've seen it. I had to explain to her certain scenarios of things that might happen, and she had this particular case where she wanted to ask where the kid's father was because he got in trouble, and if they, they could put him with the father, they can kind of get him out of trouble. And I was like, don't be surprised if they tell a kid to say that he don't know where his father is, even if he does. And don't be surprised if that family doesn't tell the father what's going on because they don't want him styling the pro. All right, do that, do that. Don't be surprised. What's up, LJ? If they don't tell the dad what's going on because he would get his kid. He would move it. Because the kid could wind up possibly going to jail. And I was just warning her because I was like, let me explain something to you. You're gonna run into more and more people like this than you think. And this was like early on, and she was like, she got caught off guard because she heard me, but she couldn't see it that way. She was like, I'll keep it in my mind, but I don't think these people are like this. And she happened to be walking up on them in the lobby before going into court, and she heard them coaching the son to say he don't know who his father is, he don't know where he at, because they figured this question was going to be asked. And it upset her. She did her job and all that. I think she got the young man, like probation, the first time offense, something like that. But she got really ticked off because she didn't want to mess with them people no more. And sometimes we don't put that in the perspective that, some of these guys, they are stand-up dudes, and they are a better influence on the children's lives than the mothers are. You can be a better parent, and being a man doesn't make you a less of a parent. You could be a better parent than a man. It's just the way people have stereotypes that they latch on to. So what ends up happening is, when the fight becomes an issue also. I've seen guys ask for their kids and they get them for a period of time, and then they got to send them back because, and I hate to say this about some of you mothers out there, some of you mothers will agree to send a child to the father, but you won't. But you send the child there with animosity and angst, hoping that they're gonna get into it. You gas that kid up to start doing trifling things to the point that the dad's like, I might have to hurt this kid to get them to understand what's going on. Like, you're not gonna act like that because they'll put because some of you mothers I've seen, y'all put a battery in y'all kids' back, and then with the dad, they try to turn it up a notch, and then it's like, oh, okay, this what we on, huh? What's up, Uncle Elwood? And this becomes a problem. What's up, Bucket? Like, it becomes a big, big problem. Big, big problem. Some guys can work through it, some guys can't, depending on the age. And you see that animosity in a sense. I saw a clip last week or 2 weeks ago of 50 Cent son still like taking shots at his dad. And I'm like, I don't know, what he 25 now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you still like, okay, but if that man pull up on you, you might be not laugh like you laughing. Like, you gotta chill out with that. And this becomes a problem. So what happens if he asks though? Because sometimes people try to sabotage the relationship, whether they're not in the same house or wind up being in the same house. And I think about this because the black family is going to always have a issue if people think, only a mother is equipped to raise a kid. And the sad part about it is, when we're looking at fatherhood, a lot of times people want these fathers to be like effeminate fathers, and that'll make you a good dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a masculine father, you need it if this is a financial issue. But as far as raising a child, people want an effeminate father. And if you can't even play the I'm effeminate game to get to, you have to be tricky about it. You might want, and because I grew up, because west side of Chicago or whatever. I think about when people talk about Chicago, and I don't think a lot of y'all understand. Like even with the youth, a lot of kids have father hunger, and a lot of those kids would live with their fathers. They would. Like, and this becomes the scenario where you know we don't ask how these kids wind up with their dads in the first place. Prometheus, what's up? You know, he said, "Yo, man, I'm sorry to hear that." Antoine, thanks, fam. You know, thank you, fam. Like, what winds up happening is we look at a lot of success stories that we look up to, and a lot of those guys had their father in their life. You know, and we don't talk about it enough. And the irony of that is, you see a lot of guys successful who were raised by their mother, but you see a lot of, I hate to say this, more often than not, you see a lot of questionable character behaviors from successful guys who were raised predominantly by their mom. You don't see that, you actually see more successful guys raised, by their father. Their father had a great hand in raising them. They wind up, doing more in line things. Everybody's gonna have, adults. You might have a vice or issue or this, that, and the third, but usually those guys seem more stable mentally. You know, the best way they have a deal with life and adversity is what I'm trying to say. But I think about, what happens if a father asks, if he asks for his kids, is look at the circumstances. A lot of times when you hear some of these guys, somebody had to have like a drug problem, or somebody died, or a calamity, or have to be evicted, or they have to just be in dire situations for what's up, Alexis, for some of these mothers to consider the fact that, okay, maybe I need to, maybe this kid need to live with their dad and not me. Maybe it's that time. And I'm saying this more so about the boys than the girls, because I ultimately believe that boys should be raised with their fathers, predominantly by their fathers, and girls should be raised predominantly by their mothers. So, because a woman can't teach a boy how to become a man, and a man can't teach a girl how to become a woman. Just my fundamental thought on that. But when a lot of these dads see the messed up environment and the messed up raising, it becomes an issue, a big, big issue. Thanks, Tony. Alfonso, what's popping? Thanks, Tony. Appreciate you, fam. And I've noticed over the years that it's kind of weird that people have this issue where they don't want their kids, Uh-oh. There's a lot of men getting. Yeah, I mean, that's the drug thing. Because, I mean, there are a lot of moms on drugs, but we just don't. I mean, we don't consider marijuana as hard of a drug. I know a lot of moms who smoke weed. I've known a lot. Let's just say that. I've known a lot of moms who smoke weed or alcoholics. That's pretty much been the norm in my adulthood. But if dad was a weed smoker, that makes him, less likely to be a good parent. But it is what it is. But they take other drugs, yeah. What's up, Faith? My bad. So when I see these situations and I think about them, I'm like, this is not gonna people act like these guys don't necessarily want their kids, but I've seen guys ask. I've done the same. I've asked. I'm like, hey, it's time. But it's one of those situations where people don't want to admit what happens when fathers ask for their kids. People want to act, because it's like, some mothers kind of get offended, and some others be like, some others kind of, pause and take a look at it and be like, man, I'm really messing up that bad. Okay, I'm gonna fix it. And then they want, like, give me some time to fix it type of conversation. But usually the problem with that is it's just if you never correct the old problems, you won't be able to correct the present problems or the future problems. And this is where a lot of I think the animosity lies, because when men fathers get to the point like they can't need to be with me, it's not how the kid's acting today. It's how how the dad's viewing how the kid's gonna act tomorrow, or the things you taught the kid that you're not willing to stop. Oh, what's up, brother? I didn't even know about the convention, fam. I wasn't even paying attention. I ain't worried about them political pundits. I'm not even gonna lie. Because, what happens when these kids ask, I will also say this. When you ask, sometimes the kid gets upset. And people don't want to have that conversation. Well, sometimes dad says it's time for the kid to be with me, and the kid will be upset. Oh, now you want to be my dad? You didn't want to be my dad, blah, blah, blah. And now the kid might be like, look, well, I don't want to be with you because, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. And, the irony of it is, and I've seen this more times than I care to admit, I've seen children have a reasoning why they'll tell their mom, okay, I don't want to be with my dad because it is this. I know he want me there, but I don't want to be because it is this. And then what it boils down to is your dad is a better disciplinarian than your mom, and truth be told, you don't want to be disciplined. And a lot of times, mothers could be played like this because they'll play that, oh, I'm gonna protect you because I don't want to put you in an awkward situation and blah blah blah. And they get played like a sucker. Because on the flip side, the things that they'll say that their dad that they're upset that their dad might do to them, their mother has done that, if not way more and worse, on a regular basis. So it's like, mom can lie, cheat, and steal from you, but she's mom. If his dad, dad could possibly lie, cheat, and steal from me, but the possibility that he could do it is worse than the actuality of mom doing it. So, the kid might cut up. And then what happens? And then let me fast forward sometimes. Sometimes father say, okay, it's time for my kid to be with me, blah, 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 and it'll be an issue. What's up, Keyshawn? And then the issue gets so bad on that end with the mom, then the kid might turn anywhere from 13 to 17, or 13 to 18, might get a call like, yo, get this kid now. And it's like, wait. What went left for all of a sudden this to have a quick effect, So, and then now you're playing that game of I told you so. And a lot of times, whether people like to admit it or not, mothers don't like to hear I told you so. Mothers do not like to hear I told you so. Not even from their parents, not even from their siblings, not even from their friends. And this is what I mean by, like, when the father says, hey, ask for the kid, because sometimes the family, the siblings, and the friends will say, you know what? That kid probably need to be there. And, it's probably time for you to let it go. But until it goes completely left, they're not willing to let go. And then, then it's the dad saying, I told you so, the family and the friends saying, I told you so. And then it's like, sometimes ladies feel like a complete failure. Sometimes people double down. Like, I'm going to show all of y'all. Like, okay, okay. But what happens? Because basically what I've noticed over the years is we had that conversation about, the fathers not being in their children's lives, but we're not having a conversation about when the fathers, ask, okay, I need to be with my kid need to be with me, my kid need to live with me, and getting back to I hate to say this, getting back to the money part, there are a lot of kids who, if a father asks, the answer is going to be no, because it's not just that if you might have to pay to get the kid, because basically you paying to see the kid, if you're paying child support, and you paying to keep the kid, if you paying child support while you got the kid, you know what I'm saying? But on top of that, there's another layer to that about some moms do not want to get their dysfunction put on blast, as far as some of these kids that get taken care of better with their dad, and it don't cost that much. It's not going to be all this discussion about the bills and stressed out and this, that, and the third. Now, I will say this, and I even wrote this in the book about it. Like, you gotta normally a part of contention with fathers and children isn't just the mom, the mother interfering. It's also scheduling. So the scheduling of kids can be a frustration, because they have a certain schedule in one household and you got to put them on a different schedule in yours. So when you put them on that schedule in your household, it's going to be completely different. And some people don't get that. And some people don't get it. Might be a push and pull, and it might be a beef because of that. So I just got to put that out there. But getting back to the money part, I've known children to give to they know that their father may take better care of them than their mom, but their father is like, dad's always in my back pocket when I need something or when I want something. But, so I'm going to still get what I need because I got a dad, but I don't necessarily want to live with my dad. But when they start living with dad, there's a bit of resentment that comes from mom, because it ain't that difficult. Like, these kids can actually they actually eat better. They actually, sleep better. They actually have, how can I say this? They have better study habits. They actually have somebody who's on them day and night about doing the right thing, and also not letting them just start something and quit. So they're actually on them to make sure that every job gets done. And on top of that, they can get pretty much, they won't be super fly, but they're gonna get the clothes they want. They're gonna be able to be cool. They're gonna still have their moments to be to be kids, and also be teenagers and young adults. But it's not going to, but then they're gonna look at it and say, all of these things took so much effort from mom. And on top of that, moms make kids feel guilty for doing things that they should already be doing. Like, we always talk about, it's your job to take care of it. That's your job to do. But dads don't really make a kid feel guilty about taking care of them. Well, I'm doing all of this for you, and I'm blah, blah, and I'm working all these hours to take care of you, and I'm working to keep the lights on, and you done ate up all the hot dogs and all that. That's not what a father do. Father, this is the difference. And because it's a difference, sometimes people want control over that that aspect of it. Like I don't want you to know how different it can be and how positive it can wind up being. You know, and sometimes there are some mothers out here who say, look, go ahead, and he asked for his kid, he asked for the kid, is his kid too. Let's see how this works. And I've seen it where some mothers kind of like look at it in a sense like this kid is making strides that they didn't make with me, and you know I don't know what they're doing over there, but obviously is doing something right. And sometimes they feel inadequate because they wish like they could do it because kind of like sometimes a jealousy, but it's just people have a different perspective, a different plan. Like sometimes dad's way is actually a better way, and sometimes I got to get back to this where um, some 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 of these mothers understand that dad has a better way of parenting, but what they do is they kind of leech off of his parenting skills. And what I mean by that is some of these mothers will take these fathers' advice. What's up, Nick? They take the father's advice, or they see the father's parenting practices, and they'll see how they affect the kid. When the kids with dad, they act a certain way, they come a certain way, because these kids are pliable, they're flexible. So when they come from one household, they come from mom's household, they're a certain way. They come from dad's household, they're a certain way. And then, like for example, when my son was younger, where he would stay up 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 years old, right? Just staying up super late. So I wound up giving him a bedtime. He had to go to bed by 9:30. Well, I'm sorry, not 9:30, 8:30, because he was very young. So at the time, she took it as an insult and was being petty. Like, I can't talk to my child because I ain't calling, by 8:30. Hold on for 1 second. Sorry about that, yo. But it was one of those things where, what's up, D'Angelo? It was one of those um when she wound up getting him and he was going to bed at 9:30, she realized how easier his schedule made her life. Cause now the child's go he's not 9:30 but 8:30. He was going to sleep. Because he was accustomed to it to a point where he would just get tired, about 8 o'clock. He just, and slowly just bam, he get out of there. So it's different when you're sitting up, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock and the kid up. And now you realize, man, this kid is knocked out. Like, I got all this time to myself, and I would do certain things with him as far as his schoolwork and do certain things with him as far as his um, uh, health, physical fitness. I'm sorry, and do something as far as his nutrition. So I remember getting him. He was always underweight and smaller. And then by the time I'm done with him, he's bigger and heavier than he's supposed to be. And I'm talking, sometimes it's a growth spurt at times, but other times he was just eating healthy enough that and more and active enough that he was just growing because of activity and food. And I would see that, on the flip side, she didn't want to feed him like that or make him that active, so she would pull that away from him. So then he would always, be bigger and taller than average with me, and then he'd stay at that size with her, and then get back to me, and he'd grow again. And I'm like, it ain't taking that much. Like, just let the boy run and be a boy, blah, blah, blah. But with that, like, working on his homework and working on the schoolwork. She started doing those things. Well, she started doing some of them, the ones that benefited her. So when you ask, and I've seen guys in the same position. So when dad's parenting aspect works, mom would just poach it and then act like, oh, I could just, I could do it too. But then it don't work the same because it's not the same amount of discipline. It's not the same amount of structure. But the idea that I could do it too overrides the fact that if you're actually going to do it. So it makes it problematic, you know. Ah, yeah, I get that. So so part of me is like, okay, so what's gonna happen, you know? And sometimes, like I said, I've seen mothers who kind of tip their hats off to the dad because they did not expect that. I've seen kids straighten up with dad that they weren't straight with mom because dad might crack your jaw. And I've seen the scenario where, how can I put this? I've seen the scenarios where the kid goes to be with their dad, tries to test dad, loses, and tries to run back to mom, and mom figures out, oh, that's when mom figures out, oh, you running to me because I'm softer than your dad. So guess what? No, you gonna stay there. What's up, cynical? You know, so then they realize, oh, this is why he said don't do this or don't do that, or this is gonna cause a problem because now the kid realizes, oh man, now my mama don't love me no more because she ain't gonna be my umbrella and my saving grace when dad about to break my face. It's that type of thing. But like getting back to it, I've seen too many times where people wonder, what happens if he asks? And then, ironically, you know, it's kind of weird that sometimes miserable families have an issue when the guy asks. Like it's, I think it, I'm gonna ask y'all I'm asking for my child to stay with me now. And some people get on that, well, it's my child. No, it's not just your child. Because, and I will say this, sometimes for dads, for fathers, you got to say the invitation, you got to say it to both the child and the mother. So the kid know and the mom know. So everybody know what's going on. So you could get out of the way that if you get a yes, everybody know what's going on. If you get a no, everybody know what's going on because you've already asked. You know what I'm saying? And then you can't have this situation where the kids say, oh, I was abandoned, my father didn't want me, my father left me, my father did that and the third. No, y'all done already talked about all this stuff. Either you said you wanted to do it, or you didn't. Either the mom said she wanted to do it, or you did. It's one or the other. So this is where we at. Yeah, I got a dislike already. Whatever. So this is where we at with it. Because I've seen the families pull that stuff. Well, wow, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean, but some of you grandparents out there who failed at life and failed at raising your kids, and you want to get a second chance from raising your grandkids, but you failing at that also because your kids don't necessarily trust you like that because you didn't raise them properly. Mind your business. Because some of y'all get in the way and y'all make these kids' lives worse because you want a second go around, and when they have these conversations, you want to hop in the middle of it. Well, I don't think this, and I don't think that, and I need time to spend with man, shut up. When it was time for you to raise your kid, you ain't want your kid like that. And I hate to say it, but it is what it is. What's up, Roger? Like, it is what it is. A lot of you, and I hate to say this, but a lot of you grandmothers were terrible mothers. You were terrible mothers. That's why your daughters are terrible mothers now. A lot of y'all, this is where the I like dope boys come from. A lot of y'all used to date dope boys. Y'all used to think that was cute. A lot of y'all used to be party girls. Y'all thought that was cute. A lot of y'all used to be little thoughts, side chicks. Y'all thought it was cute. Y'all was singing that Whitney Houston song, "Saving All My Love for You," because for another woman's man, you thought it was cute. So that mentality you taught to your own daughter, and now you want to act. Now you want to be the matriarch of the family, but you trifling. And when the guy say, "Okay, I'm tired of this," look, it's time for my kid to be with me. You want to get in the way, like you losing the kid. You already lost your kid. A lot of y'all who was drug addicts back in the day, now you sober, now you want to be a grandparent. You was alcoholics, now you sober, now you want to be a grandparent. You was just a mean parent. Now your kid's grown, and the weight of being a parent, is not weighing down on you no more. Now you feel free, and now you want to prove you could be a better parent. But you also getting in the way of the child in a relationship with their father, because you want, I'm gonna show you I can be good. It ain't about you. That's the problem. A lot of you grandparents have this ideology where it's about you. It was about you when you had your kid. It's about you when you become a grandparent. It's about you, when it comes to getting your way in these situations. You out of pocket. You out of pocket. Appreciate that, Mike, Melvin. What's up, Mike? Appreciate that. Like, this is where we at with it. Because sometimes what winds up happening is a lot of y'all want to, when these kids, get bad grades or get suspended or fell out of school, God forbid they might they're young and commit a crime or wind up having a kid. Now you same people want to turn around and say, you know what? You need to go be with your daddy. That's what y'all do. I get so tired of hearing the stories where when the child support in, not a kid, not a family want the kid to get a relationship with their dad. That's trifling. That's trifling. And there's so many fathers out here who I got to salute, who got such class, because they can really say something and it'll be the fact 100% the truth. For the kid knows the truth, the family knows the truth, and it'll change the dynamic between that child and that child's mother side of the family forever. Because it wasn't really love. It wasn't really they really didn't have that kid back like that. And though the kid couldn't understand it, when he had that grown conversation, then it's like, oh, that's what that was. That's why these situations were happening. So it goes bad. Excuse me. So what happens, when what happens if he asks for his kids or his child or his children? You have an issue. What happens if he asks for his kids because and he's married now? You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's married now, you don't want his wife to be around the kids, right? I don't know how she gonna treat the kids, but if you married, you don't say stuff like, oh well, my husband is gonna treat. If my husband treats my kid bad, it's not a big deal. See, it becomes an issue. It becomes a hypocritical issue. What happens? He asks for the kid, and he's happy, and you're miserable. Like, cause sometimes some of these fathers are asked for these kids because the father's in a great space, mentally, physically, financially, and you could tell by talking to the kid, and the mother's in a bad space, mentally, physically, or maybe even financially, spiritually, whatever. She's just not in the mindset to be good. She's just not. And then the idea that, oh my God, what's the problem? You have a question. Hold on. I got you, Keyshawn. Huh? Don't do it. I don't know what that. That's don't do it. I mean, it's not his baby. That becomes a problem. That's a character. And let me say something about that. Let me explain something to you, Keyshawn, about that. Even though you throwing me off of the topic, right? This is why a lot of black men feel like they have better character than black women, because the idea that these men from now to even 40 years ago were openly accepting other men's kids was because women, were out of pocket. Because if you think you're going to replace a guy with another guy, you're out of pocket. That's just what it is. If you want somebody to accept somebody else's responsibility, you're out of pocket. Just to answer the question, you'd be out of pocket. Let's make this an equivalent. If I had a wife and I got a second wife, right, and I wanted her to accept my second wife in America, even though I wasn't treating my first wife properly, be out of pocket. She could let my second wife replace my first wife so we could feel better. That is trifling. But getting back to what I was talking about what happens if he asks for the kids? And like, what happens? Like, what happens in this scenario if, how can I say this? And I alluded about it earlier about poaching, and about when a guy asks, you have the mothers who act like the dude got to go run through a battery of tests. I talked about that earlier, but there's a specific part of it that I should have brought up. Some mothers are asked a father for his plan for his child, and then if the father tells the woman the plan, she either gonna steal the plan or say the plan ain't good enough, and then implement the same plan but don't do it properly. And which causes more contention, because if you knew what the F you was doing, you wouldn't need to know somebody else's plan. You know what I'm saying? But one of the issues that is going to come up in the future is, because there are more people, more black men in particular, in the middle class than it was maybe like 40 years ago, as far as numerically, I've run into more fathers who have a good lifestyle. Let me slow down. I've run into more fathers who have a better lifestyle than the mother who has custody. And wanting that kid to be in that better situation causes a problem, because the mom wants to be in that lifestyle. And the kid can't go with the dad because the mom can't benefit off of that lifestyle. That becomes a problem. When the kid's somewhere and they're smiling and they're happy, because that's what I was getting at earlier about being happy. Like, you can tell when your child is happy. Now, when a child is happy when they're with their dad and they're not happy when they're with their mom, and the father says, okay, the kid needs to be with me because the kid, he's happier. Even if it's a girl, she's happier. Then it becomes, what about they forget their happiness? You know what I'm saying? What about no, this ain't about if they happy or not. I feed them, I clothe them, blah, blah, blah. But if they get along with other people better when they're with their dad than their mom, it's a relevant point. Man, it wasn't. Yeah, I feel that, Roger. It was a happy time. What's up, Gigi? But nowadays it's different. It's hella different, because I've seen kids happier with their dads than with their moms. And I hate to say this, but you could tell it. You know, a lot of times you see these kids' faces because now you put stuff on social media. You know, have I've seen more children with their moms on social media with a fake smile than ever before. Like because of social media, like these kids just look like, you know, it is what it is. Low cash. What happened? He's elbow cuff. You know, skill world pill. What's happening? Like I see them smiling. It's like it's forced. And I've seen kids just happy with their dad. They don't even. They're not even. It ain't even about their smile. Some of them smile. Some of them just their demeanor is a whole lot better. I've seen these kids. I mean, they've been cleaner. You know, they've been more well put together. And when you get to that point where you see these kids who are more, and they consciously and subconsciously know this, but they're more put together with dad and they notice it because I've seen these situations where, and I've seen this since I was a child. So from the 80s and the 90s, there are so many children out here. There were so many children to probably now who just want to love their mama enough that they want her to get it right. They know she's messed up. What's up, Paul? They know she's messed up. The kids know she messed up. So that's why I normally talk about, you know, people are not gonna. A lot of these kids are not gonna be able to necessarily say they've been abandoned. They're just gonna be on a quote unquote team that hasn't got it together yet, and they know it, and it's gonna become a problem because a lot of these kids want to be something in life, and unfortunately, a lot of mothers nowadays are holding their children back from being successful. You know, they're not um, they're not helping them be successful. You know, they just go out there and figure it out. They don't have a plan. And what I mean by that is when a dad say, okay, I need to have this kid because I could do this. You know, I done put myself in a position where I could do this. You kind of run into so many mothers who just don't, like, the kid is their only source of power. And as long as they got their kid, they feel powerful. And it's unfortunate because, you know, I can see a mother's ego. If they got to send a kid to the father, they're a failure. And other women make them look like a failure. And why would you do that? Like a real woman wouldn't do that. A real mother wouldn't do that. You know, why would you send them to that man? Type of thing. Like a lot of times, feminism gets into the way of parenting. You know, and that's problematic. I mean, I'll just be honest. That's problematic. You know, and even, and I'm gonna say this before I go. What happens if he asks for the kids? Some of you granddads or step granddads, y'all a problem. Because some of y'all, you know, wasn't in your kids' lives, or you know, whether you left or whether they played games with you, but you sitting there either watching your daughter do this, or you over there like, oh, you know what, if they need my approval, you know, they need to come to me. So you telling you as a grown grandparent is going to tell a father they need to come through you to get approval with their own child, and you're supposed to be the patriarch of the family, but you know you so old that you might get your ass whooped because you know it's out of pocket. Because in that same mind, if somebody would have done it to you, you would have broke their face. You know, so let's not play this game where you want to show up and be pop when it's convenient and act like you the man. But you know, but I can run down. You know, I can say I can run down, but The same guys that you say shouldn't be in their dad's life, I hate to break the news to some of y'all. Y'all daughters has already spilled the beans on what kind of dad you was. And she normally she didn't say the good stuff. She said the bad stuff. So you are the last person as far as a man who should be able to say anything. And some of y'all should know what's popping anyways, because I've seen too many old people get together in their 50s, and all of a sudden, now the kid back in a father's life because mom and dad got back together when they got grown. That don't even make sense. You know, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Uh-oh. Well, y'all have a great one. I'm gonna go ahead and give me something to eat. I gotta go. Pretty Gangster was popping. Okay, you take care of yourself. Everybody, peace.